Hey everyone, welcome to another Coding with Luce episode. So today I'm going to cover a sort of step in my sort of app making process that I do with every app that I make. But it's something that actually isn't. It is easy to do, but it won't work for you straight out of the box if you don't do a couple of minor changes. So I thought, as I've just started a new project, I would just record this little step with you so that you can see what it is that you need to do, the boxes you need to tick just to make it work. So, and what is that? Well, the answer is continuous integration with Visual Studio Team Services. I've worked in a job at the BBC for a year, and I still do actually use continuous integration, and I've found the real benefits of it. The idea of CI is that you push code up, and as soon as you push it, it gets built. You've got a sort of step elaboration on that called CD, or continuous deployment, which not only builds and runs any tests and whatever on your project, but it also actually deploys it, whether that's to beta testers or real users or whatever. But for this and for me, I'm not that confident my code will be ready to go every time you push it. Sometimes it's just a small iteration and not a feature, so I just stick to CI. And the CI tool I use, unsurprisingly, doing Xamarin, is Visual Studio Team Services. Now the reason I do that is because it's just, as you'll see, so simple. There's just a couple of, as I said earlier, a couple of boxes you have to remember to tick, otherwise it doesn't work. There is blog posts, including an official one on how to do this, but I just found it a little bit confusing. So for any visual learners out there, I thought I'd just bring you along while we make a new project. So the first thing to do is to go to visualstudio.com, where you'll be met with a page like this, or very similar to this if the UI's changed since I recorded this. So we'll just go get started for free, which will take you into the Visual Studio Team Services page. Now, what you may find is if you've never made a project before in VSTS, that this welcome page looks slightly different, but this is what mine looks like because I've used it before. So the first thing to do is just click New Project. So we're going to make a project. Now, the app that I've just created that I want to do something with is just a very simple, silly app that I want to make my life easier, which is Imperial Converter. Now, as many of you may know, the units of measurement between things like the US and the UK are quite different. So I often find myself wanting to convert between quite a few imperial and metric units like miles and kilometres, cups and grams, pounds and kilograms, stuff like that. So I just thought I'd make an app to put them all in one place, and it just gives me a chance to kind of practice the end-to-end. But yeah, so I've thought I'd bring you along for it. So we're going to just create the project in here, so we're just going to call it Imperial Converter. Not a very original name, could make a Star Wars pun, but this is quick and dirty, and it works. So you'll be met with these other options. I just leave the default. All this does is change the version control system. Let's face it, that's quite out of date. So stick with Git. Again, you've got some options here, and you can click the question mark that explain the differences, but all that's to do with is what the workboard columns will look like. As I said, just leave the default. Click Create. That will spin up the project. Once it's created, you'll find that it has a page which will sort of give you the option of creating a new project in terms of Git locally, pushing up one that exists, importing one from an external place. What we'll do, and you'll see in a moment, is create a new one. So while that's just spinning up, yep, there we go. Slightly quicker than I thought. It does take a little while, but it's not too bad. So you have these options here. Clone to your computer. That old clone in Visual Studio. That one isn't actually that great because all that does is clone the brand new project you've got here onto your computer, except that'll be a blank project. It won't know that it's what type of project it is you're making, and I find that just makes it into a bit of a mess. The one I'm going to do is this one here. So I'm just going to click this little icon to push it. So all I've done so far in Visual Studio is make this project. As you can see from the XAML page, it's opened with this Welcome to Xamarin.Forms. For those of you that don't know, this is the default template that you get when you create a blank Forms app. So I've done absolutely nothing with it. All I did during the project creation process was tick the box to create a Git project for this. So in my command prompts, I've navigated to where the project is. Now, we can't run the commands that it gives you from the website straight away because it's actually missing a couple of steps before that, which if you don't do, it will throw errors that don't make sense. And I'll show you what they look like actually. So if we paste these now and do that, you'll see you'll get an error in a second. Sorry, slow internet. Just wait a minute. Ah, there you go. Just wants to do my credentials. Oh, let's go back on my credentials. So that should work. So what happens? Yep. So, maybe this will work. It doesn't work normally on Mac, but hey, if it's going to work easier on Windows, great. So let's have a look. Let's refresh the page. Yeah, okay, that worked. Cool, they must have updated that. So if you're wondering what on earth I'm on about, in the past, what happened was when you pasted those commands, the ones that you had in the page before for an existing project, it would throw an error that didn't make much sense what it meant. But what it was actually talking about was the fact that the project hadn't been, you hadn't added any of the files from your project yet, and you hadn't pushed them up. You hadn't committed them, sorry. So basically what you were trying to do was push up a project to the remote master branch that had no commits. So they obviously updated that, or it's a Windows Mac difference, because I don't normally do this on Windows, but I wanted UWP to show you all three. So look, there you go. See, we all learn things together. Yeah, see, there's loads of stuff missing. That's interesting. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll actually do those steps I was talking about. So you don't get an error, but it also doesn't do what you expect. So let's just add everything. Git add dot, commit everything with a nice message, which will just say, oh, see, too much Mac. Initial commit of new project. Good enough message. So let's do that. See, this is what happens. Brand new. I've reinstalled Windows 10 on my machine. You see, so this is what happens. But that's fine. We can do that. So all part of the fun. I'm done. Oh, I can't spell apparently. I spent too much time on a Mac. I know all these shortcuts for a Mac, like Control A takes you to the beginning of the line and stuff, but that's okay. Let's just do my name. Done. Now let's run those other ones again. Cool. And now push everything up. So because we did that initial commit before, we don't need to do the long command again. We can just do git push. So wait for that to upload. Cool. So now let's refresh this and see what we find. Cool. So it looks the same, but as you can see, there's a second commit. So yeah, there's a nice box here that says use continuous integration. So what we're going to do is we're going to click setup build, unsurprisingly. So when you do that, you'll be met with this page. So, woohoo, GitHub's here. For any of you that sort of were at Build this year or caught up on what was announced at the keynote, one of the things that they announced was that GitHub was now in VSTS or App Center and all sorts as well. But yeah, that's cool. But as you saw before, I made the project in here, so we'll stick to VSTS Git. Can leave all these by default. You might want to change these for whatever reason, but we're just going to keep it nice and simple today. So next, you need to pick a project. Now, one of the things that you'll find is that for each platform you're targeting, you'll have to do different build definitions. So if you have a look in Visual Studio, I've got an Android project, an iOS project, and UWP. So we're going to do all of those today. So we'll go back in here. We'll start off with Android because it's the first one. Oh no, we'll do UWP first. First in the list, why not? So let's click apply to that. So you can leave all these by default, that's fine. if we just go to triggers. So this is one of the key things you need to remember. Under triggers is it doesn't actually automatically build every time you push the code unless you tick this box. So click that. Just leave the default, click save and queue, save and queue. So what that will do is save the build definition file and then queue up a build. So that can take quite a few minutes. So while it's doing that, we will carry on making the next ones. Hopefully this will work. I'll admit I've not actually made a UWP one before because, as I mentioned, I tend to do this on my MacBook Pro because it's a laptop, not a PC. So I tend to only target iOS and Android, but I actually want to target all three platforms with this app because, you know, a Windows 10 app, or UWP technically, but I run it on my Windows 10 machine, would be quite helpful. So let's do a new one. So the next one in the list was Xamarin Android. Now don't get caught out here. You will see Android options here. That's not what you want. That's native Android. We want Xamarin Android. So click apply. Now a couple of things here. You'll notice that there is it looks for a /test project. By default, unless you ask it to, Visual Studio won't make a test project. So if you don't forget to disable this until you make a unit test or UI test project, it'll actually fail the build. So click that and just disable selected task. No point deleting it because, you know, testing's important. At some point I will add a test project, so I want this again. But for now, just disable it. And the other thing to do, of course, is on here, go to triggers, enable CI, save and queue, save and queue, save and queue. There we go. Obviously you can change those values if you want, but I'm happy with the default. So that's queued, so that should run after the UWP one. So if you go back to build definitions again, we'll add the iOS one. So add a new one. Don't worry, once we've made these, we will go back and actually have a look at one of them running so you can see what it looks like. But let's just do this again. Xamarin iOS. Now again, there's another little thing you just have to remember with this, which is the test one's already crossed out, but you do need to make sure that you click here, because iOS is in preview. One of the things you actually need to do is tick build for iOS Simulator. If you don't, it won't work. Again, caught me out a few times, so just remember to do that. Triggers, enable CI, save and queue, save and queue, save and queue. There we go. So what that should do now is one by one build those projects, and you should get an email each time to your email address linked in your account to let you know if it's built or failed. So let's go back to our build definitions and have a look what's going on. So yeah, this one's still running. If we go to it, that one's in progress. If we click on it, it should take us to it, and we should see a console output. Yep. So as you can see, it can take a minute sometimes to pick up the output, but what it's doing at the moment is new get restore. This actually takes quite a while, so this is what's taken the longest. So we will just wait for that to finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video and we will jump back in when we have a working, all three built, and then you can see what the output looks like. Welcome back. So yeah, as you can see, two of them succeeded, the Android and the iOS, and the Windows stuff, the UWP failed. Now, can I have a look why? I never actually tried doing the UWP build before, so it's quite possible that I've set it up wrong in some way, and that's fine. I can kind of try and look into that another point, but I thought, you know what, I can take a load of takes of this video where, you know, everything goes green, but the whole point is I want to share my genuine experience with you. So yeah, I set it off building, paused the video like I said, went away, did some other things while it built. It built a lot faster than I was actually gone, as you can probably tell from the clock, but I just, you know, there's no rush. But yeah, I just wanted you to get a genuine experience of what I got, which is, yep, sometimes things don't work. So, you know, you've got these different options of how it's done. I'd assumed that was right, but I guess there might be something else I need to do with it. So, you know, if one of you guys has experienced this and you've got the answer for it, feel free to drop a comment so other people can learn from it. I'm going to try and solve this. offline. If I come up with a solution, I will add a comment as well, just so you can learn from it, or put it in the video description. But yeah, all the other ones built absolutely fine. So if we go back to the build, actually what I do before I do that is just show you what happened. So let's have a look. This should do it. So yeah, it failed. Let's see if it gives us a reason why. Okay, so it failed building the solution, and that might well be to do with kind of what I was trying to do, the setup. I don't know. It's something that I'll try and solve, but at least you can see genuine feedback. So if we have a look, it's trying to build everything. So if we scroll to the bottom, exited with code 1, 6 warnings and 2 errors. Okay, so yeah, I'll have a quick look at this, but if I can't solve it, then I will try and fix it offline. So we'll just set it as a startup project, kick it off. Might well be to do with target, I don't know, but I'll try it and see. If not, I said I'll try and solve it offline, but I just wanted you to get a genuine experience of what happens so that you can see that stuff goes wrong sometimes. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people who takes 4 million takes of a video and edit it until it's perfect, because yeah, that's one of the things that I think has always frustrated me watching other people's videos, is that Microsoft and Xamarin people and stuff do an amazing job, and you know, and it's awesome to see how easy stuff is, but sometimes everything's perfect for them, and then when you hit problems, it's really deflating. So I don't want to be like that. I want you to see the real deal, what happens. So okay, that build's fine. So it's not a build thing. I don't know the obvious solution. It takes a while to build, so I'm not going to, you know, go through that any longer. I'll do it offline and report back my findings. But there you go. What I'll do just one last time quickly to show you what happens is I will change this to welcome to my awesome viewers on YouTube. So yep, save that. So if we go back in here now and do a git status, yeah, you'll see that that page has changed. So if we just do a quick git commit, add and a message, changed label on main page. There we go. So commit that. Let's push it. So wait for that to push, and then what you should see if we just go back on VSTS is that without me touching anything, it automatically starts a build. Again, the UWP will still fail, but the other one should build. But I'm going to trust that it worked before, it will work now, because all we've done is changed a string. So that's deployed. Let's go have a look. Let's go back to builds and see what's happening. There we go. In progress. Obviously that one will fail. These two should succeed, but these are simple as that. You know, just add a project in Visual Studio and VSTS, push up the code with the instructions it gives you. Make sure that you add and commit all your files first, otherwise it doesn't actually push anything. You know, make a change and it should go up, and obviously just make sure that when you create your build definitions for these, that you tick the trigger tab to enable CI, and make sure that when you're doing iOS that you click Build Simulator. So yeah, have a great time everyone, and I'll see you next time when we'll try and learn something else useful. Bye!